Well, Disney World is the subject of our night court segment tonight, and the subject of a class action lawsuit that accuses the Florida theme park conglomerate of using COVID-19 pandemic restrictions to cheat customers who paid several hundreds for a yearly platinum pass. Let's take a closer look at this case with former prosecutor Steve Barrick. Steve, it's great to see you. I want to read this from the lawsuit because I think it's spot on. It says, quoting here, Disney's conduct is a predatory business practice aimed at exploiting the customers who support it the most. Its annual pass holders. Disney abused a global pandemic to take advantage of its own loyal customers and increase its revenue. And the question is, why would you want to alienate the people who come to your park all the time? They're the ones that are on social media bragging about you, right? They're the ones that are spreading good words, and you're like, yeah, you're out. Screw you.
Look, Trace, I think that's a great question. I've been an annual pass holder for years myself, and going to Disneyland now, it's like going into a locked camp. It's impossible to get in. You have to plan in advance. The whole concept of Disneyland was, family, freedom, fun, American values, and they've lost their way. And I've read this lawsuit, and I think it's shameful what Disney has done to these people who are the most important people and their most loyal customers. Yeah,
it's interesting because the lawsuit itself is basically saying that by not honoring these no blackout dates, right, and saying, well, you can't come here and you can't come here, that these people are saying it's a breach of contract. Do you think legally that stands up in court?
Well, look, I think it depends. The focus of the lawsuit are on events that happened in 2020, right? And when those people got their passes, there were certain types of terms that they thought that they were going to be complying with, and that was no blackout dates. And then Disney used the pandemic to change that on them with giving them very little to no notice. And I think that's where the lawsuit may have some merit.
Here's a Disney expert. He's from the reservation system talking about this, and I'll get your response on the other side. Watch.
This plan didn't really have a lot to do with the pandemic. Disney has always wanted ways of better monitoring and managing their daily attendance, and this gave them the perfect excuse to do so.
You got to believe that Walt would not be happy with this, Steve, right? It's not appropriate. It's not the old Disney. I lived in Orlando for years, and Disney would go out of their way to please everybody. Happiest place on earth, remember? Now people are bummed out when they get in there.
Yeah, look, I think the whole point was it was all about freedom, right? You'd go there, you'd spend time with your friends, your family. Now Disney is running it, as I said before, like an armed camp. And I think it's unfortunate to hear, but it makes a lot of sense that they're just using this as a tool to exercise control. I mean, unfortunately, they're becoming a lot like other woke American corporations, and it's really sad to see.
I think in fairness, we should play the Disney response saying, quoting here, we've been upfront with pass holders about the updates we've made, and we offered them the flexibility to opt in or opt out of the program early in this pandemic, including refunds if they desired. The lawsuit mischaracterizes the program and its history, and we will respond further in court. It sounds like Disney is eager to fight this in court, eager to kind of set the record straight. But the question again becomes, even if you win in court, you still lose.
Right, absolutely. Look at the fight that they got into with the state of California earlier this year. I really don't understand what their corporate thought process is. I mean, look, why do they have to have these structures in place? The pandemic, listen to what the president said. The pandemic is over. Why not go back to the old Disney? That's the question. Why do they have to exercise the control?
The pandemic is over and then it's not over. I can't really keep up. But, a lot of people are saying that Disney has lost its magic. Is that a fair thing? It's not a legal question, but it's one of those things where you think, this pandemic has really kind of put them in an odd position. They're fighting with the governor of Florida. They're fighting with the state of California. They're constantly fighting these battles.
I think they've lost their way. I think they've lost the original intent that Walt Disney founded it under, and that was this commitment to American values and to families and to children. They've lost their way.